Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another hand conditioning video, specifically conditioning the fist. We've already covered conditioning the palms and the backs of the hands in a previous video, so we're going to continue the conditioning of the hands, consolidating the bones of the fingers, conditioning the front of the fist, and preparing the fingers ready to make phoenix eye fists, middle finger knuckle fists, and various postures of the hands to allow us to attack our enemy and use our hands in various different situations. The first exercise we're going to do is a warm-up exercise, taking a stance, holding our hands out in front of us and opening and closing the fists rapidly 10 times, floating on the elbows, keeping the shoulders sunk and the chest sunk, and maintaining our stance, gripping our toes and throwing our fingers out, trying to straighten them as quickly as possible and then clench our fists as quickly as possible. And we're going to do this 10 times, pointing in front of us, and then we're going to go out to 45 degrees, emphasizing the thrust out totally straight and the pull in tight. And we're going to do that 10 times, out to the sides, another 10 repetitions, and then up above the head 10 times. We're going to come down, we're going to repeat the whole cycle. We're going to do 3 or 4 cycles of this to pump the blood into the hands, pump the blood down the arms, get the arms ready for exercises to come. Make sure everything's nice and warm, nice and supple, not going to be pulled or strained by up and coming exercises. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be a press up on the fingers, remembering to bridge our fingers, arching our hands, gripping, squeezing with our tendons as if we're trying to drive our fingers into the floor and crush through the floor with the points of our fingers in our press up position. And we're going to go down and we're going to do a press up on our fingers, maintaining all the ligaments in between our fingers, not allowing them to spread or bridge, keeping them bowed, gripping, and we do a press up, and then we remove our little finger, concentrating on the other 3 fingers. We slowly come down and we perform another press up, making sure to keep our fingers arched, maintaining the stress between our knuckles, trying to concentrate on these knuckle bones, not letting them bow, but keeping our mind in our finger joints. Then we come down and we push up again. We remove a finger down to the 3 fingers. We perform another press up. At this point, if we're struggling with our strength, we can put our 2 fingers down and begin the cycle again. If we feel we're strong enough, we can remove another finger down to the last 2 fingers, perform another press up, remove the last finger, and a press up on the thumbs if you're capable of this. It requires quite a lot of strength to be able to do a press up on the thumb. Be careful of your thumb joints. Don't try and progress too quickly and cause damage to the joints in your thumb. They're quite delicate joints. You're going to have to spend some time strengthening them before working too hard on this exercise. So we perform a press up, 1 on 5 fingers, 2 on 4 fingers, 3 on 3 fingers, 4 on 2 fingers, and last one on the thumb. Place the fingers back down and repeat. 1, remove the little fingers, 2, remove the next finger, 3 on 3 fingers, remove the middle finger, 4 on pointer finger and thumb, 5, remove the pointer finger on just the thumbs if you're strong enough. I would recommend doing the first 2 fingers and then going back down onto 5 until you're stronger. Try and work the joints, but don't destroy them. Don't dislocate your thumbs, cause problems in your hands. Try and work them without breaking them. Work the ligaments thoroughly, concentrating on not letting your fingers spread apart, not letting them bow. Don't let your knuckles bow back on themselves. Try and keep good form throughout your press ups. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be another press up exercise, this time pressing up on the knuckles of the fist. So we're going to get in a press up position, fully extended. We're going to come down about a third of the way, and we're going to rock backward on our toes, rocking across our knuckle joints right the way to our little fingers, so that we're leaning our weight through the knuckle joint of our little finger, trying to squeeze the knuckle joints together, not letting them spread apart, trying to consolidate the bones in our fist, feeling the pressure go through the little finger knuckle down and feeling it through the wrist. Roll forward and transmit our weight from the knuckle joint and roll across onto the next joint and press our weight through the next joint, trying to feel the ligament pathway through our fist, down our arm, trying to squeeze the knuckles together sideways as we squeeze, consolidating our fist, creating strength in the sideways plane. When you strike, your knuckles can spread apart and cause breaks in the bones. So if the ligaments between the finger bones are very strong and the fist bones are very strong, then it holds them together, making them less likely to break. So we roll onto the next knuckle and we take our weight on it and we try and feel the pathway through our tendons and our ligaments while squeezing our fist together. And we feel our weight through that bone, trying to transmit it down through our wrist. And we roll onto the last finger, top pointer knuckle, feeling the weight transmit through the bone in the back of our hand, down our wrist, down our forearm, and then we roll back onto the middle finger knuckle, pressing it into the ground, feeling our weight, feeling the force transmitting through the bone, through our ligaments, trying to keep the other knuckles connected to it. Rolling onto the next knuckle, feeling the weight through that, trying to pull the other knuckles back and push that knuckle into the ground, feeling the force pathway down through the bone in the hand, through the wrist, transmitting into the forearm, down through the elbow, up through the shoulder, and then onto the little finger, trying to squeeze it together, prevent it spreading apart, consolidating the fist across, feeling the force down through the bone in the hand, down through the wrist bones, forearm bones, down the ulnar tendon, down to the elbow. And we're going to slowly rock back, transmitting force through each of the knuckles, feeling the tendons and how they support the structure of our fist, consolidating everything and getting each knuckle used to transmitting weight. And we're going to roll through these 10, 20 times, depending on how you feel about this exercise and how your hands feel as you're doing it. Again, be careful not to strain the tendons in your fist. Don't damage your knuckles. A slower approach will yield greater progress over time. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be a condition exercise on the water bag, striking with the back of the hand, sinking our weight, rolling our fists. We can pat down with our front hand, roll our elbow and sink our chest, striking against the water bag with the back of our hand, getting used to squeezing our fist and our knuckles striking the back of the bag. We're going to roll and strike with the other hand. On each of these strikes we're going to try and move our torso, moving from the body, turning our elbow and swinging our fist and striking downward and downward and downward, trying to transmit the force through the back of the wrist, trying to make sure that we don't bend like this, keeping everything rigid, getting used to the structure, force coming against our wrist. So we strike and conditioning the skin on the back of the hand, trying to penetrate the water bag, striking with the weight of our torso, sinking our chest and closing our ribs, slamming and slamming, striking against the water bag, conditioning our fists, getting them used to impacts and impactive stresses. The next exercise is going to be a forward striking exercise on the water bag. We'll face the water bag, take our front stance and strike, sinking our ribs, not turning our fist but moving it straight along a straight plane to strike with the knuckles, bottom 3 knuckles dominant of our fist, closing our ribs, thrusting our elbow forward, trying to stretch our scapula and trying to achieve acceleration to achieve a good solid hit against the bag. We don't want to turn our fist to create friction against the bag and scuff our skin up. We want to create a direct force down our knuckles through the bones in our hand. We want to directly transmit our force into the bag, shifting our weight, rounding our back and striking, and then striking with the other fist. The water bag is malleable, so we can strike it very hard, get used to the impact and the impact traveling down our arm, thrusting forward and gripping our stance, squeezing our knuckles hard, and also trying to push with our thumb and squeeze sideways as we impact, trying to make a very solid fist, keeping it loose and squeezing it as we impact. So getting used to this timing. Thrust, 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 striking against the bag, getting used to penetrating and digging into it, trying to use the weight of our body and very fast acceleration to propel our hand into the bag and get used to transmitting the force down our wrist through our arm, making sure there's no twisting in the wrist, no cocking either way, making sure the fingers are closed tightly as we impact so it doesn't slap against the backs of our fingers, and transmitting the power through our knuckles down through our bones, down through the bones of our arm, down through our elbow, up through the shoulder, and accelerating in, conditioning the bones of the fist, getting them used to impacting against a solid surface and digging in, transmitting the force, getting used to the interplay of forces as you thrust and strike. The next exercise is going to be another conditioning exercise on the water bag, and we're going to do a hammer fisting exercise using the Phoenix Eye fist and conditioning the flesh on the side of the fist. This hammer fist is cushioned and good for strikes against hard targets, the skull, the collarbones. The elbow hinges in this manner, so it's a direct downward force line. You can transmit a lot of force into your opponent. We're going to begin facing the water bag and raising our hands up into beggar's hand. We're going to close our fists and we're going to drive across, turning our elbow, turning our fist on its side and striking in as if we're striking against our opponent's rib cage. As we strike the water bag, we're going to squeeze up, squeezing with our thumb, trying to transmit the force through our fingers into the side of our hand and digging our hand into the water bag, allowing our fist to sink in, closing our body, squeezing up with our legs and crushing in, then releasing, turning our waist sharply, turning our elbow sharply, accelerating our hand rapidly, twisting our wrist and striking with the side, squeezing with the thumb as we impact, trying to transmit the force through the side of our hand, sinking our ribs and digging our hand into the water bag, closing our stance up and closing our whole body on impact and releasing, rotating the shoulders rapidly and striking on the other side. To condition the flesh on the side of the fist, to condition the side of this bone, to make yourself able to sustain impacts against the body and gradually harden the parts of your fist that you might use in combat so that you can use them for striking purposes against your opponent's head, collarbone, rib cage, on their arms, any part of their body that you wish to hit. The hammer fist is an excellent tool for striking it. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be a very similar exercise but done on a wood block. So we're going to have our conditioning block or our conditioning table. We're going to place our hammer fist on it and we're going to turn up, turning our elbow up and out in line with our eyes just above, in line with our temple. We're going to turn our elbow, dropping our sternum, and drop with the weight of our arm and our body, and striking against the wood surface, clenching our fist as it strikes, squeezing with the thumb and striking, getting this hand used to more jarring impacts on a harder surface, getting used to striking harder things like the skulls, the bone. In case you catch an elbow, your hands should be used to striking hard surfaces so they can get away with it without injury. So we strike down, sinking, trying to keep our arm relaxed, and at the last second squeezing the hand. We raise the other hand, we turn the elbow, sinking the chest and the sternum, dropping the hand, striking the surface and squeezing with our thumb, transmitting the force through to the side of our hammer fist and allowing our weight to sink. We repeat this, striking each side alternately, sinking our weight into our conditioning table, getting the sides of our fist, this padded area, used to striking, building up the strength in the tissues, building up the strength in the ligaments of the side of your wrist, being more resistant to being twisted sideways, getting used to this jarring impact against a hard surface in case of a jarring impact against a hard surface on our opponent, an elbow or a skull. These things can happen. Your hands must be able to sustain these impacts and carry on uninjured. So we condition our hands on the wooden surface, letting our weight sink, getting used to the weight of our hammer fist and the jarring impact against the bones in the side of our fist. We try not to swing too hard. We use the weight of our body and we carefully condition these small bones in the side of our hands. The next exercise is going to be similar, but dropping again with the back fist down, the back of the hand, dropping with the weight of the sternum, dropping the weight of the body, sinking the elbow and striking against our conditioning table with the back of our hand. Remember to tuck our thumb across and pull our little finger in sideways to create an arch in the hand, striking with the surface against our conditioning table, raising our hand, turning our elbow, squeezing our fist and striking, sinking our sternum, letting the weight sink into the table, conditioning small bones in the back of the hand, getting used to this area, striking on a hard surface, getting used to transmitting the force in a crushing downward motion, getting the hands used to this impact, being careful not to damage our bones, but also not being afraid to put some force into our table. Next exercise is going to be against a dummy or a tree, another hard surface, and we're going to proceed with a similar exercise to the exercise that we performed on the water bag. We will place our fist against the surface, we'll draw it back and we will thrust it forward from our rib cage and our scapula, pushing our elbow forward and striking with the knuckles of the fist, sinking our way into it and striking the hard surface of the dummy or the tree. As we impact, we're going to draw our fists together and squeeze up our fingers, impacting, transmitting the force down the knuckles of the fist, getting used to transmitting force through our hand, getting these bones to take the force down our wrist, through our forearm bone to our elbow without any problem. And then we will thrust against the tree, impacting, squeezing up, making sure we impact with our knuckles, striking, making sure the structure of the wrist is solid and locked, lined up with the forearm bone, lined up with the elbow, lined up with the shoulder, scapula extended, dropping the sternum, sinking our weight into the object. We strike it as hard as we feel comfortable, gradually building up the force allowing repetitions over days, weeks and months to build the hardness in our bones, to build the hardness in our tissues, and to build the strength in our ligaments holding our bones together, to strike with a solid consolidated fist, and to be able to transmit this force into our opponent and strike their hard bones. If it comes that we strike a punch at the rib and their elbow drops and we catch the elbow, the bones of our knuckles shouldn't break. They should be used to being struck against hard objects, and they should be pulled together solidly by their ligaments. They should be less likely to be damaged if we strike a solid area on our opponent. So we get used to striking these hard objects, building our bone density, building our ligament strength and the consolidation of our fist, getting used to these impacts, and over time building our strength. So the next exercise we're going to do is going to be a strength building exercise for the grip, squeezing up the fist, getting the fist stronger, able to close tighter, consolidating these bones in the back of the hand further, creating more force and more strength in the hand. So we're going to take a free rolling bar, we're going to slide it through some carabiners or some strings so the bar is able to roll freely in a chin up bar position. We're going to grab this bar, we're going to take our feet off the floor so we're hanging from our chin up bar, and we're going to allow it to unroll until it's at the tips of our fingers. And then we're going to squeeze our fingers, rolling the bar towards us, squeezing up into a fist against our body weight. So we're going to do this repeatedly, slowly opening the fingers, allowing them to extend, feeling the stretch in the ligaments in the backs of our knuckles, and then we're going to close our fingers, rolling the bar, closing our body weight up and squeezing our body weight up with our hand. And we're going to squeeze. Then we're going to open, and we're going to squeeze up our fist, rolling the bar backwards and forwards with our body weight hanging, closing our fingers against our body weight, getting the squeezing fist and the ligaments in our fingers which squeeze it closed, working them, developing the strength in our forearm, allowing us to close our fist tighter, squeeze these ligaments and pull these bones tighter, squeeze them together and make a more solid fist due to the greater power in our grip. We're going to roll this 9, 10, however many times we're able to do so with our body weight, and then we're going to move on to the next exercise. Next exercise is going to be a squeezing exercise for the thumbs. We're going to take a light kettlebell and we're going to place it on our thumb, and we're going to place the knuckles of our hand on a fixed bar. We're then going to wrap our fingers, but the bar is going to be across the backs of our knuckles. We're going to squeeze our kettlebell up with our thumb up against the bar, pinching it. We're going to let our thumb extend, feeling the ligaments in our thumb, feeling the bones extend and stretch under the weight. And then we're going to press, closing our fist tightly around the bar, squeezing against the weight, pulling up with the kettlebell, consolidating the ligaments in our wrist and our thumb, allowing us to close round and close this fist tighter, creating more strength, closing the hand. And we're going to repeat this 9, 10 times, however many times we can with our kettlebell weight that we've selected, working to close the fist, working the ligaments in the thumb specifically, creating this fist closing action, creating more strength in the fist, allowing it to be squeezed together and creating into more of a single unit. The last exercise we're going to do is going to be a practice of various fists of the Chow Gar Kung Fu system. Some of the basic fists, we're going to stretch our arms out and we're going to make basic fists, and we're going to squeeze them up tight. Feeling our forearms working, feeling our thumb squeezing across, trying to draw our little finger across towards our thumb, trying to squeeze our other fingers in tight towards our knuckles, creating a very, very tight fist. We're then going to slide our Phoenix Eye fist, pushing our pointer finger forward, and we're going to make a phoenix eye fist. We're going to drive our thumb across and press this bone against this bone, consolidating this. We're going to squeeze these knuckle joints sideways against these fingers, and we're going to crush this, creating a very solid fist, focusing our mind on the points of our knuckle, squeezing everything around it, putting great pressure with the thumbs, consolidating this fist and twisting it against our elbows. We're then going to pull that finger in and slide the middle finger out, crushing, moving the thumbs across to the pad of the finger and squeezing across, supporting the middle finger, creating sideways force, drawing a little finger across, creating this shape, squeezing, putting our attention in the points of our finger and squeezing everything around it, working to consolidate the bones, focusing on this finger, creating a solid middle finger fist. We're then going to bring the middle finger in, pushing the little finger out, next finger out, and we're going to make the ginger fist, and we're going to squeeze this top knuckle up tight and squeeze these 3 knuckle joints sideways very, very tightly, creating the ginger fist, working the ligaments in the hand, creating each fist, locking them and squeezing them together, making them very, very hard. Then going to open, drawing our fingers back, turning sideways, cocking our thumbs, creating an eagle claw, and then we're going to squeeze that tight, coming back into our original fist and squeezing it, locking it, consolidating it. We can then move through this cycle again, working each of our fists, working the ligaments of our knuckles and the ligaments in our hands, working our intention and our force through the tendons of our fist, making our fist very, very definite, making it very strong, thinking about the impact points on each of our knuckles and consolidating the fist around them with our mind, working these fists, making them into a usable, solid, attacking, damaging type weapon. So these are some of the iron fist training exercises that we have. There are various other exercises for the phoenix eye fist specifically, exercises for the iron claw, various things that we will cover in upcoming videos, but these are some of the basic iron fist exercises to consolidate the bones of your hands further after your iron palm training and other training that we've done, the iron arm training, all leading forward to working towards training the fingers and the phoenix eye fist, various other weapons, making the hands harder and harder. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.